Imagine everyone sees you as nothing more than a weak boy. Then, overnight, you become the ruler of an empire in another world. Everything begins when Yuto touches a magical stone and is transported to a world consumed by war, where 9 kingdoms are fighting for survival. Instead of running away, he decides to unite them all under his rule. In the present, a brutal battle is underway. As corpses cover the battlefield, Yuto calmly tells Felicia that the Horn Clan has already lost. She is surprised, but Yuto simply smiles and says that all he does is cheat. He orders the attack and the battlefield erupts with swords, spears, and arrows. Suddenly, an arrow flies toward Yuto, but Felicia saves him at the last second. Soon, an Einherjar commander arrives and orders a massive volley of arrows. Felicia uses her magical rope to stop every single one before they can reach Yuto. Concerned about Rune on the front lines, Yuto worries for her safety, but Felicia reminds him that Rune is the Wolf Clan's strongest warrior. Moments later, Rune returns unharmed after defeating the Horn Clan's forces. Yuto praises her and gently pats her on the head before ordering everyone to camp for the night. Inside the tent, Rune reports that she captured Linnea, the leader of the Horn Clan. Yuto asks Linnea to join the Wolf Clan, but she refuses and insults them. Felicia reminds her that the Wolf Clan is now stronger than ever, while Linnea vows to kill Yuto if she is ever freed. Run loses her temper, smashes the table in half, and threatens Linnea before Yuto calms everyone down and apologizes for her treatment. Knowing force will accomplish nothing, Yuto offers Linnea another choice. When she refuses again, he unexpectedly asks her to become his sister instead of one of his commanders, explaining that she would not have to obey every order. She still refuses, so Yuto delivers one final ultimatum. If she rejects him again, he will destroy Century City and leave no survivors. Unable to risk her people, Linnea finally accepts and joins the Wolf Clan. After she leaves, Yuto collapses into his chair. Although kind by nature, he knows a king must sometimes appear ruthless to survive. He explains that his real goal is to end the endless war between the two clans before ordering everyone to return home. When they arrive, the citizens celebrate their victory and cheer for King Yuto. At the palace entrance, 2 suspicious men congratulate him on the victory while behaving disrespectfully. Before the argument escalates, Felicia steps in and sends Yuto inside. In his room, Yuto takes out a mobile phone and calls Mitsuki in the modern world. She cries with relief after hearing his voice and asks whether he has found a way home. Yuto admits he still hasn't, but Mitsuki promises she will keep waiting for him. That night, Yuto wonders how he was transported into this ancient world after touching the mysterious stone, yet somehow can still communicate with Mitsuki through his phone. The next morning, Felicia and Rune wake him with breakfast. Yuto explains that uniting the Horn Clan will require a huge supply of weapons and asks whether Ingrid can produce enough. He then visits the weapon factory where he finds everyone working hard and greets Ingrid as production continues smoothly. Ingrid tells Yuto that everyone has been working non-stop since yesterday. However, she stumbles over her words because of exhaustion, making Yuto laugh at her condition. After that, Yuto explains the entire situation to her. He tells her that they could be dragged into war at any moment, so they need a huge supply of weapons. Ingrid reassures him and tells him not to worry because she will take care of it. Shortly afterward, Yuto and Linnea head to the sacred temple, where each of them drinks from the cup placed before them. That cup represents an oath even stronger than a blood contract. It serves as a pledge of loyalty between both parties. Thanks to that oath, other clans can officially form alliances with them, giving Yuto the opportunity to eliminate every opposing clan and bring peace to the land. Once he achieves that goal, he will finally be able to search for a way back to his own world without worrying about what will happen to his clan after he leaves. After the ceremony ends, Linnea takes Yuto outside and tells him that she wants to speak with him in private. Yuto follows her outside and asks what she wants to discuss. Linnea asks him to save the people of Century City and make the Horn Clan as strong as the Wolf Clan, saying that she knows he is capable of doing it. Yuto gently places his hand on her head and tells her that he will not do it himself. Instead, she will be the one to lead her people and make them stronger. He tells her not to worry. Linnea becomes overjoyed after hearing those words. Suddenly, Felicia arrives and informs Yuto that they have received an urgent message. The report says that the Fort Clan has reached the borders of the Horn Clan. Yuto immediately calls an emergency meeting with all of his commanders. He begins by explaining that 4 days earlier, one of the largest clans in the West had launched an invasion of their territory. At the same time, that clan had occupied their allied nation, the Horn Clan, and taken control of Century City. He goes on to explain that this clan knows nothing but destruction and commands an army of 10,000 warriors. Every commander is shocked by such an overwhelming number. Yuto confirms that the report is accurate and declares that the situation has become a full-scale emergency. He then announces that they must march immediately to liberate Century City from the invasion. However, several commanders object to his decision. They argue that the Horn Clan used to be their enemy, and that this war has nothing to do with them. Other commanders quickly remind them that King Yuto formed the Cup Oath with the Horn Clan, making them official allies. The debate inside the council grows more intense, while Yuto remains silent and listens to everyone. Even then, two commanders continue to object, insisting that Century City belonged to their former enemy and that it would be better to destroy it instead of saving it. Without warning, Yuto stands up, slams the table with tremendous force, and shouts at everyone, ordering them to be silent. He declares that anyone who wishes to betray the oath and their promise is free to do so, but they will bear the consequences themselves. The moment they hear those words, the entire room falls silent, and no one dares to argue any further. After that, Yuto orders everyone to prepare the army and announces that the time for war has finally come. Meanwhile, the Hav clan has established a military camp along the border of the Horn clan. Their leader confidently tells his soldiers that capturing the Horn clan and Century City is only a matter of time. Suddenly, the Wolf Clan launches a surprise attack, with Run leading the assault. Yuto has taken advantage of the darkness and decided to ambush the enemy with a nighttime attack. The leader of the Hav clan is completely shocked and wonders who would attack in the middle of the night. At the same time, Run and the soldiers under her command charge forward, mercilessly cutting down large numbers of enemy troops. Within a short time, they manage to eliminate many soldiers right from the beginning of the battle. The leader of the Hav clan immediately shouts at his men, telling them not to be afraid because the enemy force is small and can easily be wiped out. However, to everyone's surprise, Run suddenly orders a retreat, telling her troops that their mission has already been completed. The Hav clan's leader becomes furious, believing they are mocking him. Later, one of the soldiers reports everything that happened to Linnea. It is then revealed that everything was part of Yuto's strategy. He had been sending small groups of soldiers to attack the enemy one after another. His goal was to weaken their forces, spread fear throughout their ranks, and gradually reduce their numbers. If Yuto had launched a full assault with his entire army from the very beginning, he would have lost because the Hav clan greatly outnumbered them. At the same time, Linnea remained inside the Horn clan under Yuto's orders, so that the people would not panic or lose their ability to defend themselves. After that, King Yuto arrives at Century City, the home of the Horn clan, together with his entire army. Run comes out to welcome him outside the city. Yuto tells her that the war is about to begin and that they will launch a nighttime assault to break the siege. He then orders every soldier to eat and drink well before the battle starts. Linnea is surprised and asks how they can think about eating before going to war. Yuto explains that a soldier should enter battle at full strength, while the enemy stands exhausted, terrified, and constantly expecting an attack at any moment. Linnea is deeply impressed by the strategy and admits that such an idea had never crossed her mind. As for Yuto, he quietly prays that Rune will remain safe. Meanwhile, the leader of the Hav clan sits with his soldiers, all of whom are in terrible condition. None of them have managed to sleep for the past 3 days because Run attacks every time they try to rest, kills several soldiers, and quickly withdraws before they can respond. Suddenly, one of the soldiers rushes over and reports that the enemy has arrived once again. This time, however, it is not just another small raiding party. The entire army has arrived. The leader of the Hav clan orders his army to form defensive lines as Yuto arrives with the Wolf clan. Meanwhile, Rune waits inside the forest with her troops, ready to launch an ambush. The battle begins with Yuto holding the advantage because the enemy has already been exhausted by Rune's constant surprise attacks over the previous days. Confident in his numbers, the Hav leader orders an assault on the Wolf clan's right flank, believing it to be their weakest point. In reality, Yuto had planned for that attack and placed Linnea in command there. However, Yuto never expected the enemy leader to personally lead the assault. Terrified, Linnea hesitates, and fear quickly spreads through her soldiers. Taking advantage of the confusion, the Hav leader charges through the formation, cutting down many Wolf Clan warriors. Realizing the right wing is collapsing, Yuto blames himself for trusting Linnea. Fortunately, he had prepared a backup plan and immediately signals Rune to attack. Run leads her troops out of the forest and launches a surprise attack from behind, targeting the enemy leader. She confronts him and asks his name before killing him. He introduces himself as Ingvi, ruler of Alfheimer City and leader of the Hav clan, and vows to destroy the Wolf clan. The two clash with their spears. Ingvi knocks Rune from her horse and prepares to finish her, but she slices his spear in half, destroys the dagger he uses to defend himself, and cuts across his neck. As he dies, Ingvi praises Rune as a great warrior, and she respectfully returns the compliment. With their leader dead, the Hav clan's army collapses. The Wolf clan crushes the remaining forces and wins the battle with minimal casualties thanks to Yuto's strategy. After returning to the palace, Yuto meets with Felicia, Rune, and Linnea. Linnea unexpectedly asks to marry Yuto so the Wolf clan and the Horn clan can become one united nation. Yuto is confused because she is already the ruler of the Horn clan. Linnea explains that she inherited the position but lacks the strength and authority to lead alone. She wants a family bond that will allow Yuto to rule both clans together. Unable to answer, Yuto remains silent until Felicia suggests postponing the decision and discussing it later. Yuto agrees. Soon afterward, Yuto changes into his royal attire to celebrate the victory with his people. During that time, Felicia points out that marrying Linnea would bring the entire Horn clan under Yuto's rule, greatly strengthening their army before eventually conquering the Hav clan. Yuto refuses, saying that even ruling the entire Horn clan is not enough to make him marry Linnea. When he asks why she is pushing so hard for the marriage, Felicia sadly admits that she knows he is still searching for a way back to his own world and fears losing him one day. Yuto gently comforts her, reminding her that returning to his own world is something he cannot avoid forever. After that, all of the army commanders enter the hall and stand behind Yuto before everyone heads to the victory banquet. The Horn clan celebrates alongside the Wolf clan, and Yuto sits beside Linnea, only to suddenly remember her marriage proposal. Embarrassed, he desperately tries to avoid the topic, especially since Felicia is nowhere to be found. Linnea asks how he likes the food, and he simply replies that it is good. A man then jokes that they already look like a married couple, making the situation even more awkward. Fortunately, Felicia arrives just in time and interrupts the conversation. Suddenly, two unfamiliar men enter the hall. Run immediately recognizes one of them, Steinthor. Felicia explains to Yuto that he is the leader of the Lightning clan and ruler of Northern Vanaheimer. One of the Horn clan commanders confronts him, revealing that the two clans have been enemies for years. Steinthor claims he only came to congratulate the new ruler, but it is soon revealed that he personally killed Linnea's father. Furious, the commander draws his sword, but the priest accompanying Steinthor reminds everyone that guests must not be harmed. Without warning, Steinthor instantly appears before the commander. With a single touch, he completely destroys the man's sword, leaving everyone stunned. Linnea explains that Steinthor converts his power into destructive energy that disintegrates anything he touches. Steinthor then approaches Yuto. Rune blocks his path, declaring that she will never let him get close to the king. Smiling, Steinthor reveals that he already knows she is the Wolf clan's strongest warrior. He deliberately provokes Linnea by admitting that he killed her father. She tries to attack, but Yuto stops her and calmly reminds Steinthor that he is a guest. Steinthor instantly appears before Yuto, stares into his eyes, asks his name, and after hearing, "I am King Yuto," promises never to forget it before leaving. Afterward, Yuto admits that Steinthor is an incredibly dangerous opponent. Elsewhere, the priest scolds Steinthor for risking their lives by visiting the banquet, but Steinthor simply says he looks forward to killing Yuto one day. Later, Yuto uses a special communication device capable of sending signals to other worlds. The following morning, Yuto and Felicia witness a woman and her daughter being sold as slaves. Yuto immediately buys their freedom, reassures them, and orders the guards to take good care of them. After returning to the palace, Felicia presents Yuto with a massive pile of paperwork that accumulated during the war, leaving him speechless. Soon afterward, Rune reports that envoys from the Hoof clan have arrived to meet him. At that moment, a pair of twins suddenly rushes into the room without permission. Yuto gently explains that children are not allowed inside because the room contains important government documents, and after spending a little time talking with them, he kindly asks them not to enter again. Suddenly, the twins reveal one of Yuto's greatest strategies. Impressed by the accuracy of their intelligence, Yuto praises their information-gathering skills and asks why they came. They explain that they only wanted to test him before asking to join the Wolf clan. Yuto agrees in principle, but tells them they must first prove themselves because joining the Wolf clan is not easy. The next morning, Yuto travels with Felicia and the twins to an important meeting. It is revealed that one twin creates wind while the other controls it, allowing them to propel the carriage at incredible speed. Yuto realizes how valuable the twins will be, especially during wartime. Soon they arrive at Gimli City, one of the kingdom's greatest agricultural centers. After a brief conversation with the twins, Yuto meets the city's governor, who reports that the former Century City citizens are greatly improving agriculture and the economy. However, he warns that forcing the people to produce more could lead to rebellion. Felicia then informs Yuto that Linnea has arrived. Linnea explains that she came to make sure he was safe, and also reminds him about her marriage proposal. Before Yuto can answer, Felicia quickly interrupts, saying that several clans have proposed marriage, and that no decision has been made yet. Linnea then explains that some people still reject Yuto's rule and may attempt to attack him. Yuto reveals a new agricultural system that will greatly increase food production, although he believes the people are not yet ready to accept it. Linnea gathers the city's influential citizens and successfully convinces almost all of them to adopt the new farming methods. She later reports that only a few people still oppose the plan and asks Yuto to take full responsibility if it fails. Yuto agrees and orders her to continue. That evening, Yuto meets with the governor, Linnea, Felicia, and the twins. The twins revealed that the Lightning Clan has secretly purchased enormous quantities of weapons for a future war against the Wolf Clan. Surprised, Yuto wonders why Steinthor is preparing for war despite the lack of open conflict. One of the twins requests permission to infiltrate the Lightning Clan. Yuto warns that the mission is extremely dangerous and that discovery would mean certain death. To prove their abilities, the twins instantly demonstrate their speed by placing a dagger against the governor's neck before anyone can react, revealing that it was only a demonstration. Convinced by their skills, Yuto approves the mission, confident they can infiltrate and escape safely. The twins promise to gather every piece of intelligence they can before Yuto heads toward the river separating the Wolf Clan from the Lightning Clan. Yuto remarks that Steinthor is reckless, but at the same time, incredibly powerful. He then explains that it would be best for them to cross the river before the battle begins, so they can gain the advantage on the battlefield. Suddenly, a new idea comes to mind, and he decides to carry out a different plan first. He then turns to Linnea and tells her that he has a mission only she can accomplish. As night falls, Yuto returns to the palace. He heads straight to the communication room, where he contacts the girl in the real world. He tells her that he is about to fight another war. She is surprised and asks whether the previous war has not already ended. Yuto replies that a reckless man has started another one. He then reassures her, promising that he will return alive from this battle. The problem, however, is that every time Yuto begins searching for a way back to his own world, another war breaks out, forcing him to postpone his plans once again. After that, he holds a meeting with the army commander, Rune, and Felicia. The army commander reports that the Hov clan has formed an alliance with the Lightning Clan, making it possible for both clans to unite against them. He also mentions that Steinthor may be seeking revenge for the death of the Hov clan's leader. Yuto immediately rejects that possibility, insisting that Steinthor is not the kind of person who would fight for revenge. Rune suggests preparing for war as quickly as possible. Yuto reassures her, explaining that the moment the Lightning Clan's army begins to move, the twins will send them a warning. He also mentions hearing that the Lightning Clan has never lost a single war since Steinthor became its leader. The army commander confirms this and explains that the Lightning Clan once fought against the Afki clan. At that time, Steinthor was only 13 years old, yet he destroyed an entire fleet by himself. Even after hearing that, Yuto confidently declares that the Wolf Clan will never lose to him, no matter what happens. Meanwhile, Steinthor gathers his entire army and prepares to launch the invasion. At the same time, one of the twins sends a message to Yuto, informing him that the Lightning Clan has assembled an army of 80,000 soldiers. Steinthor immediately orders his troops to march toward the battlefield. The following morning, he arrives with his army and eagerly awaits the start of the war. He confidently declares that he will finally destroy Yuto and the Wolf Clan. However, one of his commanders advises him to be patient. He explains that the Wolf Clan relies heavily on clever tactics and deceptive strategies, so it would be wiser to observe their formation before launching an attack. Steinthor refuses to wait, saying he has no time to waste. He immediately orders the vanguard to attack. The battle begins with both armies exchanging massive volleys of arrows. Before long, Steinthor's frontline soldiers begin falling one after another. The commander comments that this is exactly what he warned about. He explains that the Wolf Clan is using weapons forged from high-quality steel, including their arrows, swords, and spears. Steinthor is surprised and wonders how they managed to spend such an enormous amount of steel producing so many weapons. Meanwhile, Yuto tells Felicia that although they are outnumbered, they possess a clear advantage in weapon quality. Steinthor then orders his frontline forces to advance. In response, Yuto commands his own front line to fall back before sending his sword and spear units into a direct assault. The two armies immediately clash in a fierce battle. Yuto's forces begin inflicting heavy casualties on Steinthor's army. Steinthor notices that his army's strength is declining despite its overwhelming numerical advantage, and begins wondering why. He orders Commander Fing to take command of the left wing and Commander Galfi to lead the right wing, while he personally decides to lead the assault through the center of the battlefield. On the opposite side, Yuto notices that the battle is gradually shifting in his army's favor. Even so, he realizes that Steinthor has not yet revealed his full strength and that the real battle has only just begun. Yuto then signals Rune. She immediately leads the right wing into a swift assault. However, Steinthor's army is fully prepared for the attack and sends a group of war wagons to intercept Run's forces. During the clash, Run finds herself facing Commander Galfi. The two immediately engage in a fierce duel. Run thrusts her spear forward, but Galfi successfully blocks the attack. The exchange continues as they trade blow after blow until Rune finally knocks his weapon out of his hands. She prepares to deliver the finishing strike. At that exact moment, Steinthor suddenly intervenes and smashes her weapon cleanly in half. Run instantly draws her sword, but Steinthor gives her no opportunity to counterattack, relentlessly overwhelming her with powerful strikes from every direction. He then raises his gigantic warhammer and swings it toward her head, intending to end the battle with a single blow. At the last possible moment, Rune blocks the hammer with her sword, barely saving herself. Steinthor looks at her with interest and remarks that her weapon is truly impressive, saying that no one has ever managed to stop the blows of his warhammer in that way before. Steinthor unleashes a relentless assault with his warhammer, forcing Rune onto the defensive until she finally orders a retreat. When Yuto learns that Rune has withdrawn, he is shocked because she has never retreated before. Soon afterward, another commander reports that most of their forces are also pulling back. Yuto explains that retreat is the right decision since staying would only lead to unnecessary casualties after they had already exhausted the enemy. Suddenly, Steinthor charges straight through the battlefield toward Yuto, hoping to kill him and break the Wolf Clan's morale. Yuto had expected this and activates a trap as soldiers raise their shields and level their spears. However, Steinthor leaps over them, lands among the troops, and cuts through countless soldiers while the Lightning Clan breaks the Wolf Clan's front lines. Realizing the battle is lost, Yuto orders a full retreat to minimize casualties. As Steinthor celebrates victory, Commander Skavidr steps forward and blocks his attacks. The two exchange blows before Skavidr cuts Steinthor across the face. Impressed, Steinthor asks his name. "My name is Skavidr." Meanwhile, the Wolf Clan distracts the Lightning Clan by pointing them toward the abandoned spoils of war, allowing the entire army to retreat safely. Although the Lightning Clan wins the battle, Steinthor soon learns that Skavidr has killed his brother, Fing. Consumed by rage, Steinthor chases Skavidr across the battlefield. After catching him near a river, the two clash again before Skavidr retreats across the water. Ignoring the danger, Steinthor orders his army to cross after him. The moment they enter the river, the Wolf Clan showers them with arrows. Steinthor still reaches the opposite bank, where Skavidr reveals the true plan. Run, Felicia, and every Wolf Clan commander suddenly surround Steinthor from every direction, while the remaining Lightning Clan soldiers continue falling to the arrow barrage. Everyone attacks together. Felicia binds Steinthor's hammer with her magical rope, but even then he easily overpowers them, disarming Rune and proving stronger than all of them combined. Skavidr calmly reveals that killing Steinthor was never the objective. Their true goal was simply to delay him long enough for the Wolf Clan army to complete its retreat. The commanders immediately withdraw, and one of the twins unleashes a powerful wind attack that floods the river, sweeping over Steinthor and the remaining Lightning Clan soldiers. Later, Yuto praises the operation, which allowed the Wolf Clan to escape with only minimal losses. Steinthor survives, swears revenge, and the campaign ends with the Wolf Clan considering the withdrawal a success. After peace returns, Yuto spends time speaking by phone with Mitsuki in the communication room. Soon afterward, all the commanders ask him to take a well-deserved vacation after the exhausting war. Although Yuto initially refuses because of his responsibilities, everyone insists until he finally agrees. Before leaving, he appoints Commander Jurgen to govern the city during his absence. The group then sets out on their journey, spending the day relaxing, playing games, and laughing together before gathering inside a room as night falls. Everyone spends some time chatting together, thanking Yuto for agreeing to join them on the trip. Before long, the gathering turns into a cheerful atmosphere filled with jokes and laughter, to the point where Yuto no longer feels like their ruler, but simply one of their friends. The following morning, Yuto walks around the area together with Rune. During their stroll, Linnea approaches them and tells Yuto that she has heard Steinthor is still alive. Yuto confirms that the rumor is true, but reassures her that no one will be able to stand against them anymore. He explains that Steinthor's army has not yet recovered its full strength and is still healing from the previous battle, making another invasion impossible for the time being. Later, Rune visits Ingrid, who has repaired the sword that was shattered during her battle against Steinthor. It turns out that the blade is now even better than before. Despite that, Rune is clearly not herself. She cannot stop thinking about Steinthor, how completely he overwhelmed her, and how powerless she felt against him. Rune thanks Ingrid for all the effort she put into repairing the sword. However, Ingrid notices that something is bothering her and asks what is weighing on her mind. Rune explains that she has always fought alongside Chief Yuto and has never failed a single mission he entrusted to her. But during the last battle, she nearly lost her life to Steinthor, and for the first time she realized that she was not as strong as she had always believed. At that moment, Yuto and Felicia enter the room. Yuto tells Rune that he has brought her a gift that she is sure to like. He then presents her with a brand new sword forged from steel, one that is even better than her previous weapon. Rune is deeply moved and begins to cry with happiness. To her, this is far more than an ordinary gift, especially because it came directly from the leader of the Wolf Clan himself. Afterward, everyone stands together on a high balcony, admiring the marketplace and the beautiful view of the city. Felicia tells Rune that this market is the only place where a person can find everything they need. It is also revealed that the city where they are staying belongs to the Wolf Clan, and that the marketplace is one of the most important pillars of the clan's economy. Felicia then goes to buy some sweets before returning a short while later. Yuto smiles and comments that taking this vacation was truly a wonderful idea. He then begins wondering how the clan is doing back home. The story then shifts into the past, revealing the events that took place before Yuto became the leader of the Wolf Clan. At that time, Yuto was still nothing more than an ordinary commander. The clan leader addresses all of the commanders after their battle against the Claw clan. He praises their performance, saying that they fought brilliantly and that he is proud of every one of them. However, he also admits that he was the one who led them into that war, making him responsible for everything that happened, and he asks for their forgiveness. He then announces that he has grown old and that the Wolf Clan now needs a younger leader to guide its future. The two strongest candidates are Yuto and Lopter. The clan leader walks toward them while everyone assumes that Lopter will become the next chief. To everyone's astonishment, however, he chooses Yuto instead. Yuto is completely shocked by the decision. The clan leader tells him that he knows Yuto still wishes to return to his own world. Even so, he insists that Yuto is the only person capable of protecting the Wolf Clan. Yuto immediately refuses, arguing that Lopter is the better choice and is far more deserving of becoming the clan's leader. Lopter, however, rejects those words. He accuses Yuto of planning everything from the very beginning, claiming that he is only pretending to refuse the position so the clan leader will insist on choosing him. Yuto firmly denies the accusation and repeats that he has no desire to become the clan's leader. Lopter refuses to believe him. He declares that becoming the leader of the Wolf Clan has been his dream for his entire life. He devoted himself to serving and protecting the clan, and he will never allow Yuto to steal the position from him. Without warning, Lopter draws his sword and rushes toward Yuto, intending to kill him. At the very last moment, the clan leader steps in front of Yuto and takes the blow himself. The wound is devastating, and blood immediately pours from his body. Every commander remains frozen in place, unable to believe what has just happened. Lopter stares at the clan leader and asks why he sacrificed himself to protect Yuto. The clan leader collapses to the ground, drawing his final breaths. Lopter lets out a furious scream before fleeing the scene. Skavider immediately orders the soldiers to pursue him. Meanwhile, Yuto rushes to the clan leader's side, lifts him into his arms, and desperately tells him that he cannot die. The clan leader quietly asks Yuto to protect the wolf clan after he is gone. Then he surprises him with one final request. He tells Yuto that if he ever finds a way to return to his own world, he must make Lopter the next leader of the wolf clan, even though Lopter was the one who mortally wounded him. The clan leader explains that what truly matters is not who becomes the leader, but whether that person can protect the clan. Unable to hold back his emotions any longer, Yuto cries out in grief, for he had always regarded the clan leader as a father. With that, the flashback comes to an end, revealing how Yuto ultimately became the leader of the wolf clan. After that, the story returns to the present, where Yuto has fallen asleep at his desk. Felicia enters to wake him up, but at that very moment, the twins rush into the room with urgent news. They reveal that one of the territories belonging to the Hav clan has been invaded by the Panther clan. Not only did the Panther clan seize the territory, but they also carried out a complete massacre, wiping out every member of the Hav clan living there. Yuto is shocked and wonders whether the Panther clan has truly become that powerful. The name Lopter immediately comes to his mind, and he asks whether Lopter is the one leading the clan. Felicia confirms that there is no one else it could be. Yuto is surprised and asks whether she already knew this. She explains that 2 weeks earlier, she received a letter from Lopter asking her to leave Yuto and join him instead. He signed the letter as the leader of the Panther clan. Yuto scolds her for not telling him about it sooner. Felicia explains that she did not want to trouble him and never imagined the situation would escalate this far. Yuto tells her that it no longer matters because they have finally discovered who is truly leading the Panther clan. He then decides to pretend that he knows nothing and orders a letter of friendship and congratulations to be sent to Lopter, celebrating his recent victory. One day later, the letter reaches Lopter. After reading it, he smiles and remarks that Yuto is pretending to know nothing. He then declares that the time has finally come to take everything back from him. Meanwhile, even more bad news reaches Yuto. He receives word that the Panther clan, led by Lopter, has launched an invasion of the Horn clan. Before he can even process the report, Felicia rushes into the room and informs him that Merkvider City has fallen. Yuto immediately realizes that there is no longer any alternative except war. He orders Felicia to mobilize the army and announces that they will march into the Horn clan's territory to liberate it. While Yuto is organizing his forces and preparing to depart, the army is suddenly ambushed by the enemy. Skavider immediately orders the archers to unleash a massive volley of arrows, killing many of the attackers. Arrows rain down upon the enemy like a storm, forcing the remaining soldiers to retreat in fear. Their commander quickly orders a withdrawal. It is obvious that the Wolf Clan soldiers have reached an entirely new level of strength and discipline. Afterward, the commander of the Panther Clan's forces returns to Lopter and reports everything that happened. He explains how powerful the Wolf Clan's army has become and estimates their numbers at around 8,000 soldiers. Soon afterward, the Panther Clan launches another assault against the Wolf Clan. This time, however, their army is much larger and succeeds in surrounding Yuto's forces from every direction. Meanwhile, Lopter observes the battle from high ground. During the fighting, several Wolf Clan wagons covered with heavy cloth appear on the battlefield. The Panther Clan immediately charges toward them. Suddenly, Wolf Clan archers emerge from behind the wagons and begin showering the enemy with arrows. It is revealed that the wagons were actually mobile shields designed by Yuto to protect his troops. Yuto has also surrounded the battlefield with iron-plated wagons, turning the trap around so that the Panther Clan becomes the one surrounded instead of the Wolf Clan. Yuto comments that although he knows how intelligent Lopter is, he still managed to stay one step ahead of him. The Wolf Clan immediately launches a full-scale counterattack from behind the moving barricades, using arrows, spears, and every weapon at their disposal. Lopter's army suffers devastating losses as countless soldiers are either killed or severely wounded. At that point, Sigyn urges Lopter to order a retreat because most of their troops trapped inside the encirclement have already been wiped out. Lopter stubbornly refuses to withdraw. As the hours pass, the intensity of the battle gradually decreases, but the encirclement remains firmly in place. Meanwhile, Skavider informs Yuto that the enemy has begun gathering all of its remaining forces into one location. At first, Yuto believes they are preparing to retreat. However, Scavidor insists that something unusual is happening. Suddenly, Yuto senses an unfamiliar surge of energy. It is then revealed that Sigen possesses a unique ability, similar to hypnosis or hallucination, allowing her to influence the minds of soldiers and take control of them. Suddenly, Yuto's body begins to glow, but he has no idea why it is happening. At that very moment, the Panther clan launches another assault. This time, however, their soldiers advance like the living dead, showing no fear or hesitation. The Wolf clan's archers fire volleys of arrows from behind their shields, cutting down large numbers of the attackers. But one of the Panther clan soldiers shocks everyone by lifting the corpse of one of his fallen comrades and using it as a shield while advancing toward the Wolf clan. The horrifying sight leaves the Wolf clan soldiers stunned. Taking advantage of their hesitation, the Panther clan breaks through the shield wall and pushes deep into the Wolf clan's formation. At the same time, Lopter arrives on the battlefield and personally joins the attack. He walks straight toward Yuto as his soldiers continue advancing around him. Yuto, however, orders his own troops not to attack. Lopter tells him that the time has finally come for him to pay the price for taking everything away from him. He raises his sword and charges toward Yuto, determined to end his life. Before he can strike, Felicia steps in front of Yuto and declares that if Lopter wants to kill Yuto, he will have to kill her first. Lopter tells her to move aside, insisting that he has no desire to hurt her. She refuses to move. Lopter swings his sword at her. At the very last moment, Yuto intervenes and blocks the attack with his own blade. Suddenly, Rune arrives on the battlefield riding a camel. The moment Lopter sees it, he realizes that he has been cornered. He immediately orders his army to retreat and withdraws from the battlefield with them. After the fighting ends, Rune apologizes for arriving late. Yuto reassures her that it is not a problem. He then explains that horses instinctively fear the scent of camels, which is why Lopter lost control of his horse as soon as it saw the camel. After that, the war gradually calms down, and Lopter stops launching attacks against them. One day, Yuto goes out with Felicia for a walk. Before long, he tells her that they should return to the office because a great deal of work is waiting for them. The two return together. However, the moment Felicia enters the office, she immediately falls asleep instead of helping him with the paperwork. Meanwhile, Yuto begins reviewing important books, documents, and official records. Elsewhere, Evie, one of the girls living in Yuto's palace, has recently started attending the city's school. She feels completely out of place and has no idea how to become friends with the other girls. She quietly complains to herself, wondering how she suddenly went from living in a palace to attending an ordinary school. Meanwhile, Yuto and Felicia continue working in the office, eventually joined by the twins. During their work, Evie enters the room carrying drinks for everyone. Felicia suggests that they all take a short break. Yuto agrees after noticing that everyone has become exhausted. He offers Evie some sweets. She politely declines, explaining that she is still on duty. Yuto smiles and tells her that it is perfectly fine for her to rest with them for a little while. He invites her to sit down and asks how things are going at school. Evie hides the fact that she has failed to make any friends and simply tells him that everything is going well. Satisfied with her answer, Yuto says nothing more. Later, however, Yuto realizes that Evie is hiding something. He heads to the school together with Christina. Watching from outside the classroom, he notices that all of the students ignore Evie and that no one even tries to speak with her. Christina tells him that it would be better if he did not interfere personally and asks him to leave the matter to her. Soon afterward, Christina and her sister Albertina enroll in the school as new students. The teacher introduces both of them to the class. Evie is surprised to see them there, but quickly realizes that Yuto must have allowed them to enroll. The entire class is immediately impressed by the two new students. Christina then asks the teacher if she can sit beside Evie. She openly tells the class that she and Evie both live in the same palace. After that, she and her sister begin chatting and joking with Evie, making the other girls grow jealous of how close they seem to be. When the school day ends, Christina returns to the palace and reports to Yuto that she has discovered the real reason why the students have been treating Evie differently. She explains that there is one particular girl in the class who has been encouraging everyone else to ignore her. Yuto asks why. Christina surprises him by saying that the problem actually started because of him. She explains that on Evie's very first day of school, Yuto personally accompanied her there. because of the special attention he showed her. The other students assumed that Evie held an important place in his heart, causing them to distance themselves from her and isolate her from the rest of the class. Yuto says that he believed appearing alongside Evie in front of the students would make everyone like her. Christina explains that the exact opposite happened. The other students became jealous because of the special attention Yuto showed her. From that day on, everyone began avoiding Evie. Christina then reassures him, promising that she will become the class representative and give Evie an important role in the class so the other students will naturally grow closer to her. She tells Yuto not to worry. The following morning, the girls gather around Christina and ask if they can all go out together. She agrees and suggests going on a fun outing. She takes all of the girls with her while deliberately leaving Evie alone in the classroom, making it clear that she has a plan in mind. Afterward, Evie approaches the former class representative, the very girl who had caused the other students to ignore her. However, after the recent changes, the other students have now begun ignoring that girl as well. Evie reaches out her hand and invites her to join the others. The girl proudly refuses, saying she has no intention of going anywhere with her. Evie turns to leave, but suddenly stops. She asks her once more to come with them instead of sitting alone. At that moment, the girl begins regretting everything she had done to Evie and finally decides to go with her. Later, the twins return to the palace and inform Yuto that the problem has been completely resolved. Yuto thanks them and tells them there is no longer any need for them to continue attending the school. Immediately afterward, Yuto heads to the communication room and speaks with the girl from his own world. He asks her about Christmas. She tells him that it is almost here and reminds him not to forget her present. Yuto smiles and wonders how he could possibly send her a gift while living in another world. The following morning, Yuto is busy working in his office. Without warning, Ingrid walks in. Yuto praises the weapons she forged, telling her that they were truly outstanding. Instead of thanking him, Ingrid grabs him by the head and smacks him, scolding him for only realizing it now. Yuto stares at her in disbelief and reminds her that he is the chief of the clan. At that moment, Felicia enters, sits beside them, and criticizes Ingrid for treating him that way. Ingrid eventually calms down and leaves, though she still seems frustrated by the overwhelming amount of work she has that day. Yuto decides to go with her and help. While they are walking, Rune meets them and asks whether something is wrong. Yuto tells her that everything is fine, and that he is simply going to help Ingrid with her work. Rune immediately says she will come with them. Yuto instantly regrets mentioning it. He apologizes and gently explains that this is something only he and Ingrid need to do, and that it is not part of her responsibilities before quickly leaving. Along the way, he runs into Christina and her sister, Albertina. Christina asks whether he is heading to the iron workshop, and she and her sister ask if they can come along. Eventually, all of them arrive at the workshop. It is then revealed that Yuto deliberately chose not to bring either Rune or Felicia because he is secretly making Christmas presents for them. Ingrid asks whether the real reason he called her in on her day off was simply to help him make gifts. Yuto asks her not to be angry and reminds her that both of them have helped her many times in the past. After hearing that, Ingrid finally agrees to help. She begins heating the furnace. Next, they prepare the materials used to make glass, while Yuto carefully shapes the molten glass by blowing into it until it takes the form he wants. After working for a long time, they finally succeed in creating two beautiful handmade gifts. Ingrid tells Yuto that both presents are finished and that he can now give them to Rune and Felicia. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, dark schemes are beginning to unfold. The priest serving the Lightning Clan, ruled by Steinthor, is secretly preparing for something sinister. The priest of the Lightning Clan is inside the Panther Clan's territory, meeting with its leader, Lopter. It becomes clear that he is trying to unite the two clans against the Wolf Clan. Sigyn asks him why they should form an alliance with the Lightning Clan when the two clans have never had any real relationship. Lopter tells her to wait, then turns to the priest and asks, "If we form this alliance and swear to fight together, who will become the leader, me or Steinthor?" The priest replies that he will present the proposal to Steinthor and the Lightning Clan's commanders before returning with their answer. Lopter smiles and declares that if the alliance is formed, the Wolf Clan will be completely wiped out. Meanwhile, Run is walking through the palace when she runs into Felicia. Felicia asks whether she has finished her training. Run then asks where she is going. Felicia replies that she is bringing food to Yuto. At the same time, Mitsuki is eating together with one of her friends in the real world. Afterward, Mitsuki visits her friend's house, where the two continue talking. During their conversation, Mitsuki tells her about Steinthor's incredible strength. She explains that he managed to defeat Rune, even though Yuto had once told her that Rune was the strongest woman in that world. She also explains that after his defeat, Steinthor continued pursuing them out of revenge because his brother had been killed by Commander Skavider. Mitsuki admits that she is afraid Steinthor will eventually attack Yuto to avenge his brother, especially since Yuto has been telling her everything that has been happening during the war. Her friend reassures her, saying that Chief Yuto is powerful and that the commanders fighting beside him are equally strong. She insists that no one will be able to defeat them. Suddenly, Mitsuki is overcome by a strange sensation, feeling both fear and an unnatural chill at the same time. Meanwhile, Yuto tries calling her several times, but she never answers. He begins to worry and wonders why she is not responding. After leaving the communication room, Commander Skavider calls out to him. He asks Yuto if they can talk for a while. The two head into one of the rooms and prepare some drinks. Yuto tells Skavider that he has wanted to speak with him for quite some time but never had the opportunity. He thanks him for standing beside him during the war and for stopping Steinthor before he could reach him and his soldiers. Skavider replies that it was simply his duty. He says that every time he eliminates one of those villains, he feels that he has fulfilled his mission. He adds that their enemies slaughter women and children, and that the world must be rid of people like them. Yuto then asks Skavider whether he is angry with him. Skavider looks surprised by the question. Yuto explains that during the war against the Panther clan, he hesitated before giving the order to attack. Because of that hesitation, several of the Wolf clan's strongest warriors lost their lives, and he feels personally responsible for their deaths. Skavider comforts him, assuring him that he is a capable leader and that what happened in that battle could have happened in any war. He reminds Yuto that no war is ever fought without casualties or fallen soldiers. Even so, Yuto admits that he still cannot forgive himself. He continues to carry overwhelming guilt for every soldier who lost his life. He also confesses that his constant search for a way back to his own world has distracted him during their recent wars, making him less focused than he should have been. Skavider tells him that he is the only person capable of carrying such enormous responsibilities and reminds him of the outstanding commander he once was. He hands Yuto a drink and tells him not to be so hard on himself because the soldiers should never see their leader in such a broken state. As their conversation comes to an end, Yuto asks Skavider to keep an eye on Rune, explaining that she has not been acting like herself ever since her battle against Steinthor. Yuto tells Skavider that Rune is one of the Wolf clan's most important commanders, and that they simply cannot afford to lose her because she is the strongest commander they have. Skavider reassures him, saying that Rune will return stronger than ever. At that very moment, Rune is standing outside the door, having overheard their entire conversation. She quietly prepares to leave, but runs into Felicia on her way. Felicia immediately notices that something is wrong and asks her what is bothering her. Run denies that anything is wrong, claiming that she has simply been training. Felicia asks her to come with her because she needs help with something. Rune follows her and finds Linnea and Ingrid waiting there. Together, they begin making a new cloak for Chief Yuto, embroidered with the emblem of the Wolf clan, intending to give it to him as a New Year's gift. Run likes the idea and says that Yuto has seemed unusually sad over the past few days, so he deserves something that will make him happy. She immediately joins them and promises to help finish the gift before New Year's Eve. Felicia tells her that the cloak still needs a great deal of sewing and finishing work. Meanwhile, Lopter, the leader of the Panther clan, sits alone, deep in thought. He is convinced that Yuto is responsible for the death of his former leader and believes that he orchestrated everything from the very beginning. At that moment, Sigen enters the room and tells him not to burden himself with those thoughts, assuring him that they will eventually kill Yuto. Lopter refuses and declares that he alone will kill Yuto with his own hands and that he will never allow anyone else to take his head. Meanwhile, Yuto has no idea that two clans are preparing to form an alliance for the sole purpose of destroying him. Instead, the only thing occupying his mind is Mitsuki. He continues calling her over and over again, but she never answers. At last, she finally picks up. Before Yuto can say a word, she wishes him a happy new year. He returns the greeting before asking why she had been ignoring his calls. Mitsuki explains that she has been spending time with her friends and telling them all about him, the Wolf clan, and everything he has shared with her. Yuto finally understands why she had been unavailable, and the two continue talking for a while. During their conversation, Mitsuki tells him that she still has not found any way to bring him back to his own world. Yuto replies that he is still searching as well, but he has a feeling that he is getting closer to finding the answer. After the call ends, Yuto feels an unexplained heaviness in his chest. Even though it is already late at night, he decides to go for a short walk. While walking through the city, he runs into the twins. He tells them to return to the palace because it is getting late and says that he will continue walking by himself. Christina immediately objects, warning him that wandering through the city alone without guards is too dangerous. Even so, Yuto tells them to head back. Christina refuses and insists that she and her sister will accompany him. The three continue strolling through the city streets while chatting together. Suddenly, they pass by a lively gathering place where people are spending the evening, only to hear the sounds of a heated argument coming from inside. Yuto walks over to see what is happening. He finds a young woman arguing with a group of men, loudly insulting them. The owner of the establishment tries to calm her down and asks whether she truly dislikes every man in the place. She remains furious and refuses to back down. Yuto steps forward and asks everyone to stop fighting, wondering whether they are really planning to gang up on a single woman. One of the men angrily turns toward him and threatens that Yuto will be beaten as well if he keeps interfering. At that moment, Christina steps forward and calmly announces that the man standing before them is none other than Chief Yuto, the leader of the Wolf Clan. Everyone present is stunned when they see Yuto standing before them. None of them ever expected the leader of the Wolf Clan to appear in a place like that. They immediately bow their heads and apologize to him. However, Yuto cannot take his eyes off the young woman who had been causing the disturbance. She looks almost exactly like Mitsuki. He is completely shocked and wonders how she could have ended up in this world. He also wonders how she came to this place in the first place. Immediately afterward, Yuto takes the young woman with him and brings her back to the palace. There, Felicia is already waiting for him. She is visibly upset because she is responsible for his personal safety. She scolds him for leaving the palace alone at night without any guards. Yuto asks her to postpone the lecture, explaining that they have a guest. Felicia asks who the young woman is. Yuto replies that at first he thought she was Mitsuki. Felicia is surprised and asks whether he really believes she is the Mitsuki he always talks about. Yuto asks her to let him finish. He explains that she is not Mitsuki at all and that he only mistook her because of how remarkably similar they look. He then reveals that the young woman is Lady Liafa, the princess of the Jarl clan from the Asgaror Empire. Christina then explains that they learned Liafa had been traveling in secret, so they decided to welcome her as a guest of the Wolf clan. Liafa looks around the palace and comments that it seems rather plain and not nearly as grand as she had expected. Felicia tells her that although it may not compare to the palace she comes from, she is certain Liafa will feel at home with them. Liafa then asks Yuto if she may explore the palace and become familiar with both the inside and the surrounding grounds. Yuto gladly agrees, telling her that she is free to treat the palace as her own while she is there. Christina then says that she is going back to the place where they first found Liafa so she can investigate exactly what happened there. As she leaves, she notices someone hiding nearby. She calls out to Rune and asks why she is hiding. Run reluctantly steps out of her hiding place, surprised that Christina noticed her. Christina smiles and says that no one else behaves quite like Rune. Run explains that she was secretly guarding Chief Yuto. Christina tells her that although Yuto never noticed her presence, she had been aware that Rune was watching them from the very beginning. She then asks Rune what she thinks of Lady Liafa. Rune replies that she has heard Liafa possesses extraordinary strength. Christina agrees, saying that she sensed that power herself. At that moment, Liafa stands quietly beneath the night sky, peacefully admiring the moon. The following morning, Yuto is busy working in his office. Felicia suddenly enters and calls out to him. Yuto asks what happened and whether something is wrong with Princess Liafa. Felicia urges him to hurry to the workshop and see the situation for himself. Yuto heads to the workshop, only to find Liafa trying to enter while the guards block her way. He apologizes and explains that the workshop is a highly confidential place and that no one is allowed inside. Leafa calmly replies that she will use force if necessary. At that moment, Ingrid arrives and wonders why everyone is gathered outside her workshop. Leafa tells her that she has heard about her and that she is the finest blacksmith in the country. Ingrid asks who she is. Felicia introduces her as Princess Leafa of the Jarl clan. Ingrid says that she initially thought Leafa was Mitsuki because Yuto had once shown her a picture of Mitsuki, and the resemblance between them is astonishing. Leafa then asks Yuto who Mitsuki is. Yuto tells her that she probably will not believe his story, but he actually came from another world. He explains that while living in his own world, he touched a magical stone that opened a portal and transported him into this world. To Yuto's surprise, Leafa tells him that there may be other portals somewhere in Larnvidar. Yuto is stunned and asks how she knows that. She explains that her empire rules the world, so it is only natural that they possess knowledge of such things. Yuto eagerly asks her to tell him everything she knows. Leafa, however, asks for food first. After Yuto brings her a meal, he explains that he has been searching for a way back to his own world for a long time, but has found nothing so far. Leafa then tells Felicia that her magical power is too weak to activate one of the portals. Everyone is confused by her statement and immediately asks her where the portal is and how it can be activated. Leafa explains that activating it requires an exceptionally powerful magic user. Yuto looks surprised and asks whether she herself can use magic. She confidently replies that she is the greatest magic user in the entire empire. Without warning, she casts a spell on Yuto, instantly paralyzing his entire body. Felicia is shocked and declares that only one woman possesses magic of that level. She immediately realizes the truth. The Empress, Drifa. Leafa finally admits her true identity, explaining that she believed no one would discover who she really was, but her disguise has now been exposed. Afterward, Drifa explains more about the nature of magic. Yuto asks her to remove the spell from him before continuing the explanation. She also reveals that another of the world's greatest magic users is Sigyn of the Panther clan. Later, Yuto speaks with Mitsuki and tells her that he has found a girl who looks exactly like her. He also reveals that he has finally discovered his first real clue that could lead him back to his own world. He explains that if they can find another powerful magic user and combine that person's power with Drifa's, returning home may actually become possible. The following morning, Yuto celebrates the new year together with his people. Felicia presents him with the cloak that everyone worked together to make as a gift. Yuto puts it on immediately and is genuinely delighted with it. Afterward, he spends the celebration with Felicia, Rune, and the rest of the warriors as they eat, drink, and enjoy themselves until sunrise. The next day, while Yuto and Felicia are sitting together, Christina and her sister Albertina return from their mission. Christina reports that the Lightning Clan is preparing to attack under Steinthor's command and that their army numbers 8,000 soldiers. Yuto immediately orders the entire army to assemble. Within a short time, 10,000 soldiers gather in the central square. He then apologizes to Empress Drifa, explaining that he must leave with the army. Drifa calmly replies that she already knows the invasion has begun. As night falls, Yuto gathers all of his commanders to discuss their battle plan. They learn that the Lightning Clan has established camps in front of the fortress and is waiting for the Wolf Clan to march out and engage them. The following day, Yuto leads his army toward the battlefield. There, Steinthor and his forces are already waiting. Steinthor orders his troops to advance in a spearhead formation as they descend the mountain. Yuto is surprised to see Steinthor personally leading the charge from the very front and notices the strange weapon he is carrying. Steinthor quickly reaches the Wolf Clan's fortifications. The Wolf Clan archers prepare to fire from behind the defensive walls. A massive volley of arrows rains down toward him. Steinthor unfolds a strange metal weapon resembling a giant umbrella and effortlessly blocks every arrow. He then hurls the iron umbrella directly into one of the fortifications, smashing it apart and opening a massive breach in the Wolf Clan's defenses. Charging through the opening, he swings his warhammer at the soldiers hiding behind the walls and clears a path for his army. The Lightning Clan pushes forward, slaughtering most of the Wolf Clan's defenders. Steinthor notices that their resistance seems much weaker than before. Suddenly, however, Rune's forces and Skavadar's troops emerge from behind the Lightning Clan. It is revealed that this was all part of Yuto's strategy. One of Steinthor's commanders warns him that they have walked straight into an encirclement and urges him to retreat immediately. Steinthor refuses. Instead, he declares that he will carve a path through the enemy himself and orders his soldiers to follow him. He begins smashing through the opposing troops with his warhammer, attempting to force an escape route. Run suddenly thrusts her spear at his horse, killing it instantly. Steinthor crashes to the ground and finds himself surrounded on every side. Before the Wolf Clan can finish him, one of the Lightning Clan's commanders arrives with reinforcements to rescue him. A new battle immediately erupts. Steinthor looks at Rune and tells her that he will take her head before leaving the battlefield. The fighting turns into a sea of blood and corpses as both armies clash with overwhelming brutality. Suddenly, Christina informs Yuto that more than 10,000 cavalry are approaching from the south. Yuto is shocked and demands to know whose army it is. He soon realizes that it is the Panther Clan led by Lopter. At that moment, Yuto understands that the Lightning Clan and the Panther Clan have formed an alliance against him. Meanwhile, Rune continues fighting Steinthor. Soon afterward, Skavader arrives on the battlefield. Steinthor welcomes him with a grin, saying that he has been waiting for this moment. Rune and Skavader attack together. Steinthor effortlessly blocks both of their assaults. Skavader thrusts his spear toward him. Steinthor catches the spear with one hand and throws Skavader from his horse. Run immediately attempts to strike him from behind. Steinthor notices her at once, shatters her spear, and sends her crashing from her horse as well. He then smashes her with his warhammer, launching her a great distance away. Afterward, he moves in to finish both of them. Skavader intercepts the attack with his sword. The blade instantly shatters beneath the impact. The tremendous force sends Skavader flying off the mountainside. Everyone watches in horror as one of the Wolf Clan's strongest commanders appears to have fallen to his death. Steinthor then turns toward Rune and tells her that it is now her turn. Rune struggles back to her feet and declares that she will be the one to kill him. Steinthor smashes the ground beneath her feet. He immediately charges toward her. Run narrowly dodges the attack and counters with her sword, but Steinthor's warhammer completely overpowers her strike, blasting her away once again. At that moment, one of Steinthor's commanders arrives and informs him that Lopter, the leader of the Panther Clan, has already begun his assault on the Wolf Clan. Steinthor is caught off guard and calls Lopter a fool before deciding that he must open a path for his army and retreat immediately. Run refuses to let him leave. Steinthor tells her that she can challenge him again once she becomes stronger. He warns her that this is her last chance to stand aside, or he will finish her just as he did Skavader. Enraged, Run charges straight at him. Meanwhile, Yuto stands before his soldiers as fear spreads through their ranks after the Panther Clan army approaches the battlefield. Felicia tells him they must retreat because there is no way they can win this battle. Yuto admits that retreat seems to be the only option. Felicia agrees that it is a painful decision, but insists that refusing to retreat will only get every soldier killed. Yuto replies that retreating will not solve anything because the enemy will simply pursue them, conquer the Wolf Clan, and slaughter everyone left behind. At that very moment, Lopter arrives with his army. He immediately orders a full-scale assault. Yuto still has not made his final decision. The Panther Clan attacks from every direction, cutting down large numbers of Wolf Clan soldiers. Arrows, spears, and swords rain down from every side. The Wolf Clan warriors attempt to flee, but the Panther Clan relentlessly hunts them down until the battlefield is drenched in blood. Suddenly, Yuto personally rides onto the battlefield, leading the rest of his army. He orders every Wolf Clan soldier to return to their positions and raise their spears. He declares that this day will end in either victory or death. The moment the soldiers see their chief fighting beside them on the front lines, their courage returns, and they prepare to fight once more. When Lopter witnesses this, he becomes furious and orders every one of his men never to retreat. He reminds them that they outnumber the Wolf Clan and commands them to wipe out every last one of them before bringing him Yuto's head. He even announces a huge reward for whoever kills Yuto. One of the enemy soldiers fires an arrow directly at Yuto. The arrow flies past his head, yet Yuto never flinches. He then delivers a powerful speech that reignites the spirit of his soldiers. Their morale soars as they shout that Yuto revived the Wolf Clan when it had once been the weakest clan of all, and they swear to win this battle for him. The two armies clash once again. Before long, however, the Wolf Clan gains the upper hand, and Lopter's army begins to fall back. Meanwhile, the duel between Rune and Steinthor continues. Run has reached her physical limit and can barely continue fighting. Both of them suddenly hear the sounds of the battle below, along with Yuto's voice encouraging his soldiers. Run is shocked to learn that Yuto has personally entered the front lines. Steinthor, however, is impressed by Yuto's courage. He tells Rune that it is time to end their duel and slams her with his warhammer, knocking her to the ground. Even so, he tells her that he will spare her life this time. He turns and begins walking away. Run slowly rises to her feet once again. Gripping her sword tightly, she declares that she will never allow him to leave. She tells him that their battle is not over and that she is finally going to show him the power she has been training to master. She releases her full strength and her entire body begins to glow. Steinthor smiles and tells her to show him that power before charging directly toward her. Run rushes forward at incredible speed, aiming to cut off his head. Steinthor blocks the attack with his warhammer, sending her sword flying from her hand. He tells her that these will be her final breaths. He attacks again. At the last possible instant, Rune retrieves her sword and drives it deep into his abdomen, leaving a massive wound. Steinthor staggers backward, struggling to breathe through the intense pain. Even so, he praises her strength and admits that she has finally become a worthy opponent. He tells her that he truly enjoyed fighting her. Meanwhile, the Wolf Clan achieves victory over the Panther Clan army. Yuto orders his forces to launch a counterattack from the opposite side. Steinthor laughs when he quickly learns that the Panther Clan has already been defeated. He realizes that Yuto had prepared a backup strategy that allowed him to outmaneuver both armies at once. He tells Rune that her attack was incredibly powerful, but he can no longer continue fighting and must withdraw. Steinthor orders his army to retreat and declares that he alone will remain behind to stop the Wolf Clan from pursuing them. His soldiers refuse to abandon him and insist that they will stay by his side until the very end. Steinthor then turns toward his army. Run tells him that their battle is still unfinished. He bids her farewell and asks her to tell her soldiers that Steinthor sends them his regards and hopes they will meet again on another battlefield. With that, Steinthor retreats after losing half of his army. Rune descends the mountain and finds Skavadur lying at the bottom. To her relief, he is still alive. She lifts him onto her shoulders and carries him away. Meanwhile, most of Lopter's army has been annihilated, leaving only a handful of survivors trying to escape. Lopter flies into a rage, unable to understand how the battle ended in such a disastrous defeat. He orders Sigyn to use her magic to open a path because he intends to kill Yuto himself. Elsewhere, Yuto is celebrating the victory. Suddenly, Felicia warns him that Lopter is approaching. Lopter charges toward him on horseback, cutting through the battlefield as every nearby soldier stands frozen, unable to move. Yuto immediately realizes that Sigyn has trapped them with a magical spell. Lopter reaches him and declares that he is about to end his life. He swings his sword straight at Yuto. Felicia throws herself in front of the attack and blocks it. Lopter tells her to move aside, insisting that he has no desire to kill her. She refuses. Lopter strikes her with tremendous force, sending her crashing to the ground. With all her strength, Felicia screams at Yuto, begging him to run. Yuto draws his sword as he and Lopter prepare for one final clash. Lopter attacks first, but Yuto successfully blocks every one of his strikes. Surprised, Lopter asks when he learned to fight with a sword. Yuto replies that he has been training with Skavadur every single day. At that moment, Yuto remembers how Lopter murdered the former chief. His anger erupts and the two charge at each other once again. Lopter lands a powerful blow that sends Yuto's sword flying from his hand. Yuto quickly recovers it and rushes straight at Lopter. The two collide and crash to the ground together. When the struggle ends, Lopter loses consciousness. Suddenly, everyone hears Sigyn chanting a spell. At that very moment, Yuto's body begins to fade away. Before disappearing completely, he hands his phone to Felicia and tells her that she will need it when planning future battles. He says goodbye to her. Then he vanishes entirely, leaving everyone unsure whether he died or returned to his own world. Meanwhile, in the real world, Mitsuki notices a mysterious beam of light coming from her room. She rushes inside to investigate. To her astonishment, Yuto is standing there before her. Neither of them can believe what they are seeing. Mitsuki immediately throws her arms around him, crying with relief as she tells him how happy she is that he has finally come back. She then asks why he never told her over the phone that he was returning. Yuto quickly asks her to hand him her phone. He immediately tries calling the phone he left with Felicia. The call fails and the number is shown as unavailable. Mitsuki then asks him what happened during the war. Yuto tells her that the Wolf Clan defeated both enemy clans. Meanwhile, Sigyn tells Lopter that she successfully sent Yuto back to his own world. Lopter becomes furious. He shouts that he wanted to kill Yuto with his own hands and demands to know why she interfered. Sigyn explains that if Yuto had remained in that world any longer, he would eventually have united and ruled the entire country. She says that by sending him away, she has opened the path for them to seize the Wolf Clan now that Yuto is gone. At the same time, one of Steinthor's commanders reports that Yuto has disappeared and is believed to have returned to his own world. Steinthor is shocked by the news. The commander then informs him that the Panther Clan is already preparing to attack the Wolf Clan. Steinthor immediately decides to join the assault, declaring that he will personally take part in the coming battle. Meanwhile, Felicia tells Rune that Yuto has returned to his own world. Rune is left speechless and can hardly believe what she has just heard. Felicia asks her to make sure none of the soldiers outside learn the truth. Just then, Albertina rushes in and reports that both the Lightning Clan and the Panther Clan have already begun advancing toward the Wolf Clan. It appears that the Wolf Clan now faces complete annihilation. Meanwhile, completely unaware of the disaster approaching his clan, Yuto spends his time with Mitsuki at a shopping mall. Mitsuki asks him to buy some new clothes. Yuto tells her that the only clothes he found at home were the ones he is currently wearing. She shows him another outfit. Yuto thinks it is too expensive and suggests buying something more affordable instead. Later, the two sit together while Mitsuki brings him a cup of coffee. Yuto enjoys spending time with her so much that he completely stops thinking about what might be happening to the Wolf Clan. As they walk through the shopping mall, watching people browse the stores, Yuto suddenly remembers the marketplace of the Wolf Clan. He tells Mitsuki that he spent 3 entire years in the other world and wonders whether she worried about him during all that time. She admits that she was constantly afraid for him because he kept fighting wars that could have taken his life at any moment. Yuto smiles and tells her to pick out whatever new clothes she wants because he will pay for everything. Mitsuki smiles and asks him to choose the outfits he likes the most for her. Meanwhile, Felicia asks Rune what they should do in the coming war. Rune answers without hesitation that they will fight. Felicia reminds her that she is still seriously injured and is no longer in any condition to fight. Rune tells Felicia that there is no other choice left because the Lightning Clan and the Panther Clan are preparing to attack. She declares that she is going to the battlefield. Felicia tries to stop her, warning that if she dies, there will be no one left capable of protecting the Wolf Clan. Rune insists that she has to fight because refusing to do so would only lead to the destruction of the clan. With that, she leaves. At the same time, Christina tells Princess Liafa that her magical power surpasses even Sigen's, meaning she should be able to summon Yuto back to their world. Liafa replies that she can perform the summoning, but whether it succeeds depends entirely on Yuto's own desire to return. Meanwhile, one of the commanders informs Linnea that the Panther Clan and the Lightning Clan are preparing to launch another invasion of the Wolf Clan. Her first question is whether Yuto is safe or has been injured. The commander explains that Yuto suddenly disappeared from the battlefield, and that most of the soldiers now believe he is dead. Linnea refuses to accept that, and firmly insists that Yuto is still alive. Meanwhile, Yuto is spending time with Mitsuki in a park. The two share a meal together while talking before going for a walk. Although he tries to enjoy the moment, Yuto cannot stop worrying about the Wolf Clan. Suddenly, Mitsuki's phone rings. The incoming call is from Yuto's phone. Yuto answers it, and Ingrid is the first person to speak. The moment she hears his voice, she is relieved to know that he is still alive. She then hands the phone to Felicia, who is overjoyed after confirming that Yuto is safe. Next, Rune speaks with him. She tells him that they lost the war against the Panther Clan and the Lightning Clan, and that the enemy has already captured Fort Gashina. She also explains that they are on the verge of attacking the Wolf Clan itself and taking complete control of it. Yuto is overwhelmed with guilt and blames himself because he disappeared in the middle of the battle. He asks to speak with Felicia again. Yuto tells her to find a way to bring him back to their world. Felicia explains that Princess Liafa may be able to summon him, but the final decision belongs entirely to him and that everyone will respect his choice if he decides not to return. Yuto immediately declares that he has to return for the sake of the Wolf Clan. Felicia tells him that Liafa will begin the summoning ritual right away. After the call ends, Yuto returns home. A short time later, Mitsuki calls him and asks him to meet her at the park. He goes to see her late that night. She asks whether he intends to return to the other world. Yuto answers that he has no choice. Mitsuki then tells him that she wants to go with him. Yuto is stunned and asks how she could possibly choose to enter a world consumed by war. She explains that she wants to help him and no longer wants to spend every day worrying about him while they are separated. Yuto refuses at first, warning her that they may never be able to return to their own world again. Mitsuki remains firm and tells him that she does not care. Yuto tries to persuade her to think about her family and friends. She replies that she cannot stay behind while constantly fearing for his life. In the end, Yuto agrees. He promises that if they ever find a way to return to their own world together, they will take it. Sometime later, Liafa successfully summons both of them back to the other world. The entire Wolf Clan warmly welcomes Chief Yuto home, celebrating the return of their leader as they place their hopes on him to stop the war once and for all. With that, part 1 of Yuto's story, the leader of the Wolf Clan, comes to an end. But what will happen next? Will Yuto be able to save his clan from the war and find a way back to his own world? Or will Lopter and Steinthor seize control of the battlefield and bring the Wolf Clan to its downfall? You'll find out all that and more in the next part of Yuto's story. See you in the next video. Peace.